Why, hello, and welcome to this new segment on the Sonny Michaels Show. It's the Into the Woods with Stewart Strauss podcast quick video preview minute, in which I'm going to tell you a little bit about my podcast, Into the Woods with Stewart Strauss, available worldwide on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and whatever you listen to your favorite podcasts on. Now, we're going to talk about Season 1, Episode 7. Subtitled The Man That Shook the Hand, Part 1. In this episode, I play music from and tell stories about meeting celebrities such as Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Paul McCartney, Joni Mitchell, Stephen Stills, and the list goes on. In fact, there's now 5 parts in this series of my 17 podcasts, which again are available worldwide, so please listen and subscribe. Subscribing will help me out a lot. Now, in this segment of the show, I'm going to answer viewer email questions. So we're going to start with, let me see here, this question comes from Biff McDonald, who lives in Joplin, Missouri. And Biff would like to know what I was doing February 21st, 1990. Well, Biff, February 21st, 1990 happened to be the evening of the 32nd annual Grammy Awards show, which was held at the Shrine Auditorium, downtown Los Angeles. Now, I was working just a few miles away in Hollywood at a post-production facility called 525 Post. Now, this was a very upscale facility, and clients included REM, the Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, Lowell Cream was a client, Frank Zappa was a client. There were so many that that's enough names to mention. Well, we were watching a live feed of the Grammys while we were working, and this was still very early evening, still during sunlight, plenty of sunlight out. And I got called up to the office, and my boss is telling me I'm going to need to keep a secret, but that Paul McCartney is coming directly from the Grammys to 525 Post to do some work with his film and video director, producer Aubrey Powell. Now, they were assembling video that was going to be seen during Paul's live shows on the screens behind him. And of course, whatever montages and slide shows they were doing. And this was about the time when Paul was really starting to dive back into playing Beatles music. So, of course, some of the videos and things had a lot to do with his history, and I'm sure were quite emotional. Now, meanwhile, they needed a copy of Band on the Run so they could get good pictures of the album cover, and all they had was the CD, and it just wasn't big enough to suit their needs. Now, I was told that they were looking for this, and of course I had a copy at home, so I offered to go home and get it and bring it back, which I did, and then they used it for their project. And when they were all done, Aubrey Powell left me a handwritten thank you note inside the album jacket, which was pretty darn cool. And Paul left a present too. We'll talk about that a little later. So I met them when I brought them into the building, and it was Paul and Linda, along with 2 of their children, the band, in full galore. I mean, they were dressed to the nines. They had just left this award show, and instead of partying and celebrating, they were working. So it was kind of cool. Anyway, the project for them went on for the next 2 nights anyway, so maybe 3 days, 3 nights total that I was there for, and got to spend some time with Linda, some quality time, because she was only so interested in what they were doing in the edit bay, so she'd come out into the lobby, and there I'd be. So I'd make her drink whatever it was that she liked, and we would talk from there. And when I say drinks, I'm talking either espresso, cappuccino, coffee, or tea, nothing alcoholic by any means. And anyway, she was just so friendly and warm and down to earth, that she made me feel really comfortable just speaking with her. Of course, having known who she was forever. anyhow, and then when Paul would come out, for an occasional break, everybody would turn into giddy teenagers. And I'm talking about, top Hollywood professionals losing it and all becoming kids again just to get near Paul and shake his hand, which I was one of too, so it was, like I say, a lot of fun. Of course, I had to keep a professional demeanor at all times, but, it comes with the territory, you could say. Anyhow, so that's kind of my story. When they were done with everything, like I say, Paul had left on their last night. He left a little present in the edit bay for me and the guy I was working with who would close down at night. And he wasn't interested, the other guy, so I got to take this with me. And once I was in the car, light it up and think about what had just happened over the last few days. So that's a preview of Season 1, Episode 7 of Into the Woods with Stewart Strauss. I want to thank Sonny, I want to thank Stencil Jazz, and I most of all want to thank you. Take care, folks.